Boomers really are the most out of touch and entitled generation there is, and it's not even close. I know a friend from high school whose parents just sold their house. They were selling it for $1.075 million, and they bought it in 1992. You want to know for how much? $100,000. So I'm curious, I'm being nosy, I'm snooping. I'm like, how much was $100,000 like to us in today's dollars? $228,000. And this ain't no shack. This is not no shack. This is like a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, like McMansion, okay, in a very beautiful town. And the boomers would like to tell you, if you cut back on the avocado toast, if you don't get that coffee, if you don't do blah, 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 then you can do it too. The simple thing is, y'all had pensions. Y'all were buying houses for like $228,000. And I know you had the interest rates. They were at 8%. I checked. I would take a $228,000 mortgage at 8% right now without question.
The people that would actually fall in line to buy homes in modern day would fall around the generations of late Gen Z, millennials, pretty much all the millennials. And when you think about buying a home, the majority of them have just kind of opted out of that whole idea because there's no percentage of any, we don't have any percent. There's no money for a single percent at all. Not even 0.01. So, and it's really obvious to tell the way the economy has changed, the way that boomers talk about the grasp of such a large amount of money, like $1 million. Do you guys ever see yourself having $1 million? I mean, maybe one day, if your 401ks work out the way they're supposed to, if your IRAs, if everything compound interest is up to the amount that you one day hope to be, if God allows you to live that long and good enough health and faith, then maybe you'll be able to enjoy that one day. But $1 million seems so out of range, out of touch, when the majority of boomers bought their houses for what seems like pennies, chump change, peanuts these days for what we're buying ours for now, and they're able to sell it for 5 times, 10 times, a majority, almost 100x, it feels like, compared to, you know, if you buy a house now, will you be able to sell that for like 100x per se, kind of over-exaggerating, but let's say 10x more realistically in your future once you reach the boomers' ages that they're currently at? Do you personally ever see yourself having that sort of thing? Or if you are a homeowner, do you personally feel like home rates are kind of out of touch for the majority of people with their pay raises, being that if you don't have a decent job, if you're not making a certain amount of money a year, if both of your partners aren't, you know, paying something, it's kind of hard to continue on with this raising cost of living that seems to be a crisis for most.
Millennials and Gen Z have now been rated the poorest generations in all of U.S. history. Most people from those generations will never be able to own a house. They will live paycheck to paycheck and most likely work until they pass away. They won't have retirement, pension, or anything like that. They are also more poor than people that lived during the Great Depression. Mind you, the Great Depression was only 10 years. But millennials and Gen Z, most of them will be poor for years to come. Most people from those generations are also in massive amounts of debt and also suffer from very high inflation rates. Also, rent for millennials and Gen Z is usually 40 to 50% of their paychecks or even higher monthly. People from older generations, when they were going to pay for rent, most of the time back in the day, it was 30% or lower. On average, it was 25%. And sometimes even as low as 15 or 10%. And that was for middle class to even lower class jobs. But what do you all think about this? Let me know in the comments.
No secret that Gen Z kind of like sucks at making money, and it's not because they genuinely like don't like money. Like, I think Gen Z is kind of more obsessed with money than other generations because they really understand the lack of it. The majority of them have never had anything, and they dream and wish to have something that's so unattainable, hence money. But it really goes to show where they just are so sick of the modern day playbook, and they feel like it's so rigged against them that they don't even want to opt into the game at all to begin with. They refuse to even play the game if they feel like they're already playing the game from a lower level tier frame. And it's kind of one thing, you don't really get to choose which class you get born into, like middle class, low class, upper class. I guess middle class doesn't really exist anymore in the West, they say. If you personally feel like that's the case, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. Or, you know, when I was growing up, I kind of tried to tell myself I was like lower middle class, and then the older I got, the more I kind of saw the way other people live, and I kind of got to know wealthier people than myself. I was like, wow, I'm poor. We're the poor family. Food shelf. Sucks. Either way, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Did you guys personally grow up poor? Did you not really realize how privileged, quote unquote, I don't know if I like that word, privileged, you were growing up? And yeah, because it really is goes to show, once you become an adult, you really realize like the vast difference in lifestyles and what money genuinely does for a human being.
If you're curious about what a midlife crisis is, I'm going to tell you. And I haven't showered and half my makeup is rubbing off, so sorry. This is what your 40s can look like, okay? Your kids are starting to grow up, they're becoming teenagers, and they don't like you anymore. And then you realize you don't understand what your purpose is in life. You were knee-deep in parenthood for so long, and your kids needed you so badly that your entire identity was wrapped up in that and just surviving. And there was a lot of joy in that, because children bring a lot of joy. A lot of people don't realize that. They do, because they look at the world in a different way than we do as adults. Everything is exciting. Everything is new. They have such joy that it, rubs off on you as the parent. And then suddenly you're over 40 and you're starting to age, and they're getting older and they're going through their hormonal changes and you're going through hormonal changes, and life just changes. And then you're left not knowing who you are and where you're going again. And then you try to find new hobbies and new things to do, and you think maybe you need a new toy in order to make you happy, and you're left feeling like totally empty. And then you have an existential crisis about your religious beliefs, because you're just so disillusioned by, like, say, the church. So you don't go to a church because you just don't trust anybody. You also have realized, after so many years of trying to make lots of friends, that you don't really connect with a lot of people. Your circle is very, very small. And you're okay with that, but at the same time, you also don't understand what the heck is life all about? What is it for? You're left feeling kind of empty. And then maybe you eat and then you gain weight, and then your hormones change and you gain more weight. And then maybe you lose weight and you feel pretty good, but then you realize your insides are still rotting. And then because you're also perimenopausal, you might not be as randy as you used to be. So your husband is going through his midlife crisis. You're not feeling like you want to do those things very much. And he's feeling the same way. And everyone's just freaking miserable. And then maybe one of you starts being addicted to this, that, or the other. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's, shopping. Who knows? But this is what the midlife crisis is. Oh, and then you go into a whole bunch of debt. And then you're drowning in debt. And usually you have a house by this point, and you're so house poor, and like things are just crumbling on top of you. And that's midlife crisis. And it just never stops. And you feel like, what am I doing? And what is this rat race for? Is that right? Like, did I hit the nail on the head for anybody else?
A lot of my videos that discuss the millennial crisis, the middle age, we're just going through the midlife crisis. We're all hating becoming old, and it's overwhelming, and it's dreadful and agonizing, to say the least, which I guess it seems like that was a lot. It sounds over exaggerative, but that was, to say the least. I think for a lot of people, especially if you read through some of the comments on my videos, a lot of you guys share similar sentiments regarding feeling kind of down and about getting older, and about you're seeing your friends fade, you're seeing your friends die, you're seeing your family pass, and you're seeing everything that you grew up once anticipating feeling like a scam. You're kind of seeing it through the real light and the shades of reality. And it's not really so humbling. It's humbling, but it's not very nice for most people. And I do understand the majority of my audience is middle-aged, so that does make sense that would touch home with a lot of you guys. But I feel like the majority of generations are kind of starting to experience that. I feel like back when I was younger, the one thing I will give boomers is they kind of tried to hide the adulthood from kids for a while, which kind of kept us naive. But which some of us feel like we got scammed and lied to about our lives, but at least we were able to enjoy it for a little bit. Now it's like even the younger generation, like we see Gen Zs, they're extremely into politics. The people are talking about Gen Z, Gen Alpha are becoming some of the most religious generations of past history, because they're so, focused on the modern times, the zeitgeist of the internet, and how, like, whenever something bad happens, it's right in front of your face. So it's not just like, you live across the country, it's always involved with you, no matter where it's at. So do you personally feel like the internet is good for this reason? Do you feel like this is in the right direction for society? Or is this kind of just making us age faster, which a lot of you guys did have a lot of opinions in my last video, where Gen Z seems to be aging faster than millennials or any other generation, which I don't know if that's the case, but some of you guys seem to. Which generation you're from, the odds of you being broke are higher than not. And if you want to bitch and complain about that down below in the comments, I love to read those and reply to the ones I see fit, as well as a huge shout out to the handful of you guys checking out these videos daily. I've genuinely been trying to be as consistent as I can with more authentic commentaries and different types of conversations. So I really do appreciate you guys showing up every day and showing your support. And a huge shout out to the handful of you guys checking out those links down below in the description. Those are always some of the best ways to support me and the content around here. It's kind of like I got for this one, so bye.